Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Robotech.
Come on now and set sail for the future. Fly the sky, oh, the lava.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cellcast,
the animated series.
Joining me today is a man who has fun in the holodeck pretending to be Mark Twain. Welcome, Jacob.
Why, thank you. And let me use our co-host, a man who just needs a sniff. Welcome, Drew.
Oh, wow. And I thought the pun I was going to do for you was bad. So, this is Star Trek Lower Decks.
Yes.
Season 4, Episode 4, Something Borrowed, Something Green. Directed by Bob Suarez, written by Ben Waller. In this episode, Tendi is summoned back to Orion for a wedding.
Yes.
Guest cast includes Eric Bauza as Kokor, Vanessa Marshall as Deborah, Nolan North as Bert Tendi, Carrie Walgreen as Lakar, Deborah Wilson as Zoto, and Ariel Winter as Erica Tendi.
Erica.
Erica.
Okay.
Trivia for this episode. The Orion ship, attacked by the mystery ship, had a similar design to the 22nd century Orion Interceptor from Star Trek Enterprise. The plunder on the ship includes a classic original series phaser, TNG phasers, a Vulcan Lurpa, a Vulcan lyre, and a Klingon Batleth. The century-old TOS phaser was thrown into the trash barrel. Mariner references the Enterprise episode Bound when describing how a captain would get taken out by some Orion showgirls. The episode featured multiple examples of the Orion written language first introduced on Enterprise. Tendi's family is barely the 5th richest syndicate on Orion.
Barely.
Orion society has many gender reversals. In this one introduced here, the bride is the one who carries the groom across the threshold or carries him as they swing through on a rope. Also, it's the husband who walked down the aisle instead of the bride.
Yeah.
Other such... Okay, so I need to do some explanation on Orions because we really have not gotten to see much Orions on here, despite the fact we've had 2 episodes involving Tendi and her backstory so far. The first Orion we actually got to see was in the cage.
Okay.
Now, this was not actually an Orion.
Okay.
At some point in that episode, Pike, played by Jeffrey Hunter, mentioned that as the captain's life was not necessarily the life he had to have led. He could have been a pirate businessman trading in Orion slave girls.
Yeah.
And then later on in the episode, when he's stuck in the cage by the Telosians, and they are forcing him to, they're trying to placate him by allowing him to live out his fantasies. One of them, he is a pirate lord trading a Orion slave girl who is actually the other human that is trapped in there with him playing that part. But she has been on that planet far longer. I'm not going to get too far into it, but if you know how the original series, it has the pictures of from previous episodes for its end credits, and the last one with the Desilu logo has the Orion slave girl on it.
Really?
That was this character.
Oh, okay.
Which is ironic. It was Desilu, and part of that. The Lou part of Desi Lou is Lucille Ball.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Orions have, for the most part, not shown up in Star Trek a lot since then. There's a couple episodes they were in TOS, but we didn't get to see much. They never showed up in TNG or Deep Space Nine or Voyager. Voyager makes more sense since it was stuck in another quadrant of the galaxy. If they were in TNG and Deep Space Nine, they were background characters. We never actually got to see any of their ships until Enterprise came out, and we actually got a couple of episodes involving Orions. And in one of those is the one where we learned that the reason Orion slave girls are called such is not because the girls are the slaves.
Yeah.
They are the slaveholders to the men. But they pretend when they're dealing with other cultures, especially those that are patriarchal, that the captain of the ship is a man, while there's always a woman, like very close, who might actually be the real captain of the ship. And you'll remember that also happened in the Strange New Worlds episode, Those Old Scientists, where there was while the Orion pirate was talking to Pike, there was always a young Orion girl behind the Orion captain, looking at him as if you didn't know what was happening, you probably wouldn't have thought too much about it. But I was watching that episode the whole time going, she's telling him what to say. And when they do the whole, take the screen down and then scan the ship, that was probably giving the excuse for the actual captain, the young lady, to tell the acting captain what to say. I'm just saying, there's nice little bits of continuity that I didn't get to talk about when we did that other episode, but it is a whole Orion thing. But yeah, the reason not much is known about Orions is because they just didn't show up in the show because of the possibly risque nature that we knew of Orions from the show.
Right.
That's probably why they did not show up again until Enterprise, when things would have lessened to a point. And of course, you got to bring them. They were doing a whole thing where they were bringing back TOS original series races that we really hadn't seen, because we hadn't seen a lot of Tellarites and a lot of Andorians since TOS either, except in background shots.
Right.
And they were brought back in Enterprise. Anyway, the irony here is that Tendi is the Orion who's had the most screen time. And we still, because her backstory has never been the focus of an episode really until now, till this one, we have known almost nothing. And ironically, Lower Decks has probably added more explanation as to what goes on with the Orions than the Sirius shows did. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Also, last bit of trivia: the ship Tendi hotwired at the end of the episode was a Raven type class, the one used by Seven of Nine's parents in Star Trek Voyager when they headed over there long before technically Q-Who, which introduced the Borg. But they were searching for the Borg because of rumors before that. It's a lot of explanation. If we ever get a real Borg episode in Lower Decks, I'll go more into it. Or if Seven of Nine shows up, I'll go more into it then. But for now, that's a nice little throwback to that old ship we only got to see in one episode.
Okay.
Anyway, what are your thoughts on this episode?
This was interesting. There again, be like, I don't have a lot of because there again, I'm not as fond with TOG as you are.
TOG.
The original series.
TOS.
TOS is what I meant to say.
You combined TOS and TNG.
I did.
You were saying the original generation.
The original generation.
Those old guys.
Those old guys.
Well, I mean, going off how Lower Decks claims TOS stands for.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting the little. Oh my gosh. Tendi?
Tendi.
Yeah, Tendi.
Well,
oh my gosh.
You can't just call her Tendi in this episode.
I know.
She is Devana.
Devana Tendi.
Yes.
Okay. Devana Tendi is a bad a bad mother.
Well,
Orion.
She is the mistress of the winter constellations.
Yes, she is. Oh
and
my
this
gosh.
episode we found out what that meant. She is also apparently the prime of her family, which means she's an assassin. and she's supposed to be the head assassin for the syndicate, but she ran off to Starfleet and forced her little sister to have to take over.
Yes. Which I enjoyed that part. That was so good because when you realize, oh, the sister kidnapped herself and she's kind of taking revenge on Tendi for what she did, and it's more like that they kind of come to a greater understanding, and it's great. And the whole time be like Mariner's just getting a knife in the shoulder the entire time.
I should have known that was the bright spot of this, is that Mariner kept getting injured. You know why Mariner kept getting injured, right?
Why?
Boimler wasn't there.
That is true. Somebody had this. It's like, oh man, not again. But I kept thinking, me like, she's never gonna be able to use that shoulder ever again.
She's gonna love that scar.
Oh yeah, gonna love it. Absolutely love it. And then you have Boimler and oh crap, what's his name? Rutherford. Them being roommates, and they get in a fight over who's gonna water the plant or
bonsai.
The bonsai.
It's their bonsai tree.
Yeah,
but they called it bonsai or something like that.
Bonsai.
And they have, and they apparently are solving their conflicts by going to
the holodeck,
and both of them pretending to be Mark Twain in the South and being proper Southern gentlemen. And they think this is a good idea to settle intergalactic issues because they convince Captain Freeman to go along with playing a white Southern gentleman.
Oh my gosh.
And then they dress up the alien going that. And at one point Rutherford says, no, you gotta do a Southern voice. That's what I am from South Rosota. That was a Southern accent. It's like, you know what? That is stupid. But it's so funny.
Good.
It's so funny.
And the
way they actually resolve that is like, what do you mean your bonsai plant? What is this bonsai? I wish to see it. And he shows them, like, I like this. He goes there, bonsai. It's like, okay, now we're no longer allowed to be the captain will not allow us to do play Mark Twain on the holodeck. We'll have to do something else. And they go to be Liberace.
I don't think
and neither one knows how to play the piano. Wow.
This is a lot harder than I thought.
Yes, it's the piano. Just because there's 55 keys doesn't mean you know what order to play them in.
But this episode was great. It was like, there again, the A plot was great. And then you get the B plot of the boys just trying to get along and their stupid hijinks to be like, oh, this is how we get along. Hey, this will work in other situations. But Tendi
doesn't work that way, buddy.
No, but
buddies. But honestly, that could have been in any episode because it has nothing to do with the whole trip to Orion. They just need something for Rutherford and Boimler to do. And then you get to you just watching the other one and the other story there on Orion, and it's not just Mariner and Devana, it's also T'Lyn.
Yeah, T'Lyn, that's right.
Who is writing a report on Orion. And finally this is, will you quit writing that report? There's something wrong with my tablet. Why'd you throw that away? Because you asked me not to and you are my friend.
And be like, if
I don't think Tendi, knowing Tendi, actually wanted you to throw that away. She just kind of was embarrassed by everything because she doesn't want to be, she's never wanted to be thought of as a stereotypical Orion
pirate.
And yet she comes from a family of Orion pirates, barely the fifth richest syndicate on the planet.
And she's a baddie about it.
And she just wants to be a dorky little nerd.
Which I love.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. Was one of my favorite characters.
Yes.
Granted, I like most of the characters on this show at this point, but Tendi has been so adorable since her first episode.
Agreed.
And I love how this explains why she doesn't drive men crazy because she doesn't have the pheromone.
That makes sense.
It's like, because I've been wondering about this the whole time because I've seen the episode of Enterprise where they explained how the Orion women have this pheromone that drive men, not just Orion men, all men crazy and make them want to fall in love with her. And
that means
she has not done she's not affected Boimler or Rutherford at all this way. Granted, her and Rutherford are friends, and more than likely they are. They will have a deeper relationship later on.
Yeah.
But it's been a natural progression. It's not been a I'm seducing you with my poison ivy pheromones. It's not been like that.
No.
She's just been it's her own adorableness has allowed her to get this relationship with Rutherford, and they're all, of course, all five of them are now good friends.
Yeah.
But there was this episode was just so much fun.
Agreed.
Because
It
it's like
was.
what, because every 5 seconds, like what's the most what's something you would expect to happen in a Klingon world that wouldn't happen because Klingons are honorable, and that's what happens on Orion.
Oh,
I loved when that first knife goes into Mariner.
Oh,
and
gosh.
she pulls it out, and it's
the
at the
bar?
bar.
Yeah.
and the lady comes by with a jar full of knives, and she drops it in there with the rest of them, because that's the thing that happens, that they have a way to deal with spent knives,
yeah.
so that there's no blood diseases happening. Wow, y'all really thought this through.
Yeah.
It's like picking up glasses, broken glasses in a Klingon bar. Picking up the dead gach, because you can only eat gach when it's live.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
I played Star Trek jokes and you don't get.
I don't get it, but okay. It's fine.
I need to show you a scene.
Yes. Anyways.
Anyway, I enjoyed
This was
this episode.
such a good episode.
Yes.
It was so much fun.
This was better than the last episode, and I do like that we did actually get not only a continuation of the probe story, but it actually affected the main story of the episode. So we are slowly getting to where that's going to be a major thing, even though that's probably not going to be until the final episode of the season.
Probably.
But yeah,
If it's a stupid well probe again, I might be mad.
I don't think it's a whale probe, because this one, I mean, first it was in Klingon space, and then it was in Romulan space, and now it's in Orion space, which technically is Federation space, but also technically not. One of those weird things.
Gray areas.
So, and they haven't actually attacked a Federation ship yet. They've only attacked an Orion ship. So,
yeah.
that would technically also be considered Federation protectorate because of the weight where Orion is. Anyway, you got anything else for this?
No, I'd be like, I'm looking forward to the next episode.
I am too, which we don't have a name for yet,
No.
unfortunately, but join us next week and we'll talk about that. In the meantime, this has been Drew,
This is Jacob.
and we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photobin, to see his photography. His letterboxd page at ggeorge759. His Twitter at ggeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, on YouTube at Cellcast, on Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher,
Not anymore.
Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.